What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Coffee Hour live here on January 9th, 2025. Man, already starting to click by. Appreciate you joining me, everybody, from wherever you're at all over the country. Again, we always love for you to shout out, let us know where you're from. If you're a Fast Track student or you're in our program or you have any of our products, we appreciate it. Again, we do this every morning unless it's pre-recorded due to a conflict or a scheduling issue. Like we did yesterday, and it did not launch at 8 a.m. like it was supposed to. So again, we'll blame that on EV Mux, which is our streaming software. But it did come later, probably around 9 o'clock in the morning. So in case you caught that one, that was a really good episode on objectionable currents and talking about what happens when you do an improper case to neutral connection. That is when you connect the neutral conductor to the metal enclosure downstream of the service disconnecting means and what can happen. So if you didn't catch that episode, make sure you go back and watch that episode. It is available over on our YouTube channel and it will be available over on our series on Fast Tracks 2, which is going to be just the coffee hour series that you can watch them in succession. So they'll be in order, that type of thing. So that's your flavor. But again, thanks for joining me here on a Thursday morning. Red Dog, good morning. California, NER student, yep. And I am doing good. Hopefully you're doing well as well. And it's awful early, as always, out in California. So, and you're following us over on the YouTube channel. So again, appreciate you. Thank you for joining me today. All right. Again, anybody else that's out there, feel free to chime in and let us know. And you can bring up anything you want. You want to ask a question about a previous episode or whatever. Again, this is your time. This is coffee hour. I'll let you kind of get your day started with a cup of coffee, talking code, talking whatever. Heck, we'll talk any topic. This is our new mugs. You've seen these. These are the new mugs available in like 3 different sizes. This is the big one. Because I want to fill it up with coffee. I don't want to make multiple trips, so I go with the big. Check those out over at the website, fasttracksystem.com. Dan, good morning from Chicago, chilly Chicago. I don't know if I told you or not, I have a nephew that is up in Chicago now. He's a pitching coach for a little private private college outside of Chicago. I mean, they're right in Chicago. It's a little private school, and he's their pitching coach. So awesome stuff. All right. Let's again get into today's topic. Again, thanks for joining me, Dan. So today's topic, we're going to talk a little bit about, and feel free to ask questions, and I'll give you insight. We're going to talk today about luminaires and closed closets. Take a little bit of a shift from our taps and our secondary conductor discussion, which we will gear back to. But we're going to take a little bit of a detour into closed closets and closed closet spaces and luminaires that are in that closed closet. One, because as always, it was requested by a student, and I am all about the requests. So this show is for you, what you want. And somebody requested that I do talk a little bit about closed closets, the space, the definition of the space, the luminaires that can go in there, and all those type of goodies. So we're going to talk about that on today's episode. Good morning, Edgar from California. I have a lot of followers from California that watch. It's awesome. Good morning, Paul. Welcome to the stream. Get y'all up early here on a Thursday morning, getting your day started. Also, I have had some requests for me to do some talk about estimating and pricing. And so if that's something you feel you're interested in, I have put it to the queue. So it will be something that we talk about on an upcoming episode because it was requested. And I want to make sure I honor the requests. Now, the reason that one's probably going to be with something else because it wouldn't be a very long topic to take up an hour with my recommendations for estimating and pricing and stuff. Because a lot of it's going to be me talking about the Best Bid Hybrid Pro or some kind of estimating software. So I didn't want to take up a whole lot of time. What would be awesome is if I could get the guy that created Best Bid Hybrid to be a special guest on a show. Now, it might have to be recorded because probably most people, unlike y'all, they don't want to get up that early probably. So I enjoy getting up early and so they may not. So, but we'll see if we can't work out something and see if we can't get some show on that. But I definitely will be doing something on estimating and pricing in the future. What's up, TJI? Good morning, sir. Glad to have you here. All right. Well, let's see here. If anybody's got anything they want to talk about, we're more than happy to go over it and elaborate a little bit more on it. But if not, I'm going to go into today's topic and we'll just talk about it. And that might generate some questions that you may have. Jorge, welcome. Good morning. I assume I say that right. Or it could be George, different pronunciations. But I'll go with Jorge. How about that? Let's see if I'm right or wrong with that. We'll see. Or maybe it's just George. If it's George, put a 2. If it's Jorge, put a 1. That way I can see if my pronunciations are right, because they probably are not. And if it's neither, put a 0. So anyway, thank you for joining me this morning. Let's go on and get into today's topic. Good morning, Eric. Where he says both are fine. All right, good deal. What's up, Manny? Good morning. Good Manning. Edgar says number 1 was right. Okay, cool. All right. Let's go on and get into today's lesson here. Just kind of talk about it. So let's go back here. So what we're going to be looking at is talking about closed closets and what's permitted as far as luminaires permitted in there, what's not permitted in there. And then we'll identify the closed closets so that we have a better understanding of what it is we're dealing with as far as what we're putting in there. Now, in the real world, you probably don't question this at all, right? Went to the wrong screen. In the real world, you probably don't question this at all. You're like, I've done 1,000,000 closets. I just know where to put the luminaires, and it doesn't matter. Sometimes you can get a closed closet that is rather large, and it can look like it's a room and not really a closed closet. And so for some people, if I've done what my brother would call these McMansions, which are all these, and I laugh that he says that because that's all he wires is big $1 million homes, multi-million-dollar homes. With these big closets in it. When I was in this Oklahoma and I was serving as the expert for a case in Oklahoma on AFCIs, it was an issue that they were having. It's a very big home, like 13,000 square feet or something. It's just massive. They had some pretty dang elaborate closed closets. And they had some luminaires in there that you're sitting there going, I don't know how that got approved to be in there. You know what I'm saying? And then we had some areas that the closed closet it was hard to distinguish it from the bathroom, the way it was all big one space. And so I can see where it offers a challenge for an electrical inspector to be able to understand all that. And so being able to apply the rules differently and things like that. So again, it can be quite a challenge, whether you're doing just a small closed closet, which is simple, straightforward, to something that is massive. And it can be complicated to try to find where the lines of demarcation are for this is the bathroom and this is the closed closet, and the rules for the closed closet, how do they apply to the bathroom, and all this kind of stuff. So it can be quite difficult. So again, not all closed closets are created equal, right? So can be a challenge. All right, but let's talk about, for closed closets, let's talk about what cannot be in a closed closet. All right, so we bring back, oh, by the way, this is out of Unit 7 in your Fast Tracks program. For those that are in the Fast Tracks program, these illustrations will look very familiar to you because they are out of that program. This right here, pendant luminaires or lamp holders. Okay, so this right here is a pendant type of luminaire. And we're going to go see in the NEC what it says. But again, right off the bat, these are not to be inside of a closed closet. B, as you can see right here, incandescent lamps with open or even partially enclosed. Okay, so they could have some kind of dome halfway on it, but it's not all the way enclosed. Okay, this lamp has to be totally enclosed. Right? And we'll see all that here in a second. But these just right off the bat, you folks know you don't put an open lamp inside of a clothes closet. Now, what we will see is this is incandescent, and very few people are dealing with incandescent anymore, right? So if not hard to find, but it's still available. I think everybody said at one point, somebody said that they're all going away and they're going to get rid of them all. And I'm like, nah, that's not true. It's not all going away, but they're still available. I still see them at the Home Depot and the Lowe's and things like that. So again, we don't want anybody to put a keyless, obviously. Just keyless is just the base that you screw a lamp into it, or a light bulb if you wish, into it in a clothes closet when it's an incandescent and it's an open lamp. That's not going to be permitted, obviously. None of you would do any of that. So, okay. So let's first up, now we can look at the luminaires that are permitted to be in a clothes closet. And then we'll talk about the space. But let's look now at what types of luminaires we can have in a closed closet. All right, so here we're at here. So this is the types, and this is 410.16b. As you folks remember, I always say in our program, when you see the chevron, stop and go read it and look and see what the code says to see. And so that's what we're going to do really quick. We're going to share this, and we're going to go look at it. So here's B. So this talks about what is permitted. Now, we haven't learned what the space is yet. All we're doing, this is the best way to learn it. Learn what you can't do, and then learn what you can do. All right, so as you can see down here, C, we looked at that one, not permitted. Okay, incandescent luminaires with open or partially enclosed lamps, no can do. And permanent luminaires or lamp holders shall not be permitted. So pendant luminaires, ones that are hanging from a swag chain. Pendant could be one that's also hanging from a solid bar. That is basically the luminaire, the lamp is hanging or suspended below the base. Those would be what we call the pendant luminaires. Or lamp holders shall not be permitted. Okay, and as we saw, lamp holder is basically just what we call in the trade a keyless, not a pull chain keyless, just a keyless. Although you could have a pull chain keyless and that type of thing as well, but can't have them in a closed closet. Obviously makes sense, right? All right. And then the other thing about this is a lot of people get lost on. People say, well, what about the CFL, or what about the fluorescent that are enclosed and I screw in? Well, this rule specifically says you can't have the lamp holder in it. Period. Regardless of what you screw into it, you can't have the lamp holder. So the lamp holder can receive an incandescent, but typically the lamp holders, as long as it has Edison base, it can receive a CFL, it could receive a LED, whatever, but it's the lamp holder that's prohibited in the closet space. Obviously, because the moment that it burns out, you're not there to be the guardian of what goes in there, then your wife or somebody or whoever, your significant other, or whatever, goes and gets a old incandescent that's sitting down on the shelf that they've had for years because they're hoarding them because they heard that they're going away, and they go grab it and plug and screw it in there. Okay, so you have that problem. Okay. Okay, so let's see here. So looking at the different types. So this is a recess. Okay, this is a recess incandescent, or it could be a recess LED luminaire. Okay, so what can be in there? So here, let's look at these different types. First one right here, a recessed incandescent is perfectly fine to be in there, or a LED luminaire with a completely enclosed light. So if we have a recessed can that's completely enclosed, or an LED that's completely enclosed, then that is okay to be inside the clothes closet. Now we're going to see spacing and where they can be. Right now, we're just looking at the different luminaires that can be in there. Then we got to follow the other rules because we have some spacing in there that we have to be aware of, okay? Whether you have clothes in there or not, whether you have a shelf in there or not, you're still things that you got to be aware of when you put these luminaires in there, okay? So we're just looking and seeing what can go in there. And if we go back to the code, we can see that we're getting down here, okay? Only luminaires of the following type shall be permitted. So this was the first one. You can have a surface. Well, we haven't looked at all the lists of the images, but surface mount, or a recessed incandescent or LED luminaire with a completely enclosed light source, lens on it, cover on it, deflector down, that type of thing, as long as, again, it is completely enclosed. Right? So that's what we got for this. Now B, right here, this is the surface mounted right here. This is fine as well, and probably a majority of people that put these in there. This is a surface mounted. It's mounted onto the surface. It's incandescent or LED luminaire with a completely enclosed light source. Okay, perfectly fine as well. Good morning, Jay. Thanks for joining me down in Florida. Appreciate having you here. All right, so we can have the recessed, everything enclosed. We can have the surface mount, and the light source is enclosed within the luminaire. And then you have C. And C says a surface-mounted fluorescent luminaire. Okay, so we'll highlight that one. So that's just your typical. This is a side view of your the fluorescent tubes. It's perfectly fine there. And then, of course, you have D, which is recessed fluorescent luminaire. So this one just happens to be the very same, but it is recessed. Now, obviously, if this doesn't require a cover, this doesn't require a cover era, but we'll go look at it, okay? Now, there is a couple notes here, and I'll talk about these. It says, and this is in 410.16b3 right here. It says, also permitted in closed closets are surface-mounted fluorescent or LED luminaires that are identified as suitable for installation within the closet storage space. Now, what does that mean? So you're going to see in a minute, we have a defined space to where we can't put any luminaire, right? But there are luminaires that are designed to actually go in that space. And one that I saw, and I've never seen one installed, but I saw graphics of it, and it was shared to me by one of the NEMA manufacturers, was they actually have one of the rods that is designed for the clothing actually has the lighting built into it, LEDs built into it. And it was designed for the weight as a rod, but also it gave out illumination. Well, it was evaluated for that, and it was identified for that specific purpose, and it met all of the testing that they provided, and they had that. So that actually went in the closet space that we're going to talk about. That is typically prohibited from having any type of luminaire in there, right? But in this case, these were identified specifically for that application. So not all luminaires are identified to go within the storage space, okay? So ones that we're going to talk about are outside of the storage space, depending on the small space that you have, depending on the closet you have. But in this case, they do make luminaires that are designed to go in the actual storage space, okay? So keep that in mind. I should also remind you before we look a little further at the space, in a little more detail of the images of the luminaires. I should remind you that you're not required to put a light in a closet. Okay, there's a lot of people that ask that all the time, and no, you're not required to have it. Obviously, for most people, it makes sense to put a luminaire in a closed closet, especially if it's one that you can walk into and enter a walk-in closet. But there's nothing in the code that requires you to put a light in a closed closet. Okay, so I want to make sure we get that. Okay, all right. So let's kind of go now to the NEC. By the way, I am using Link, if you will, and this is the 2023 edition of the NEC. NEC 2023 is what we're working in today. All right. And so when you see things like this you see things like this kind of this tan graying out, that means that some things might have moved and changed. And you see this figure, it says new. So there's some enhancements that have been made or it's been moved around. Here you see the N as well. So some of the language, that type of thing. And you could probably go back and you click view changes. It's going to let me log in again. Hold on. Link is famous for that. There we go. So if you come in here and you click and you look at it, you might be able to see in let's see here, locations. If I click it, this says view changes, and you'll see that it'll pop up and can let you know what exactly has changed, right? And so if you scroll down, you'll see that it added an exception down here. Of course, we'll look at all that, but that's just kind of gives you an idea that the beautiful thing about Link, and you can't use it for an exam, obviously, but the beautiful thing about it is that it allows you to have some commentary and things like that. So if you're already licensed and you're in the field, you really should be thinking about Link. It's only like $120 a year, and you can choose a bunch of other NFPA as well, standards, okay? All right, so let's look at the spacing. Okay, so we know what luminaires we can have in there, and again, we'll just reiterate. We can have surface-mounted or recessed incandescent or LED luminaires with completely enclosed light sources, okay? We can have surface-mounted or recessed fluorescent luminaires, okay? We can have, let's see here, surface-mounted fluorescent, or we can have LED luminaires identified as suitable for installations within the closet space, closed closet space. That's what we talked about, okay? That's just ones that are basically identified to actually go in there, okay? So, so now, good question somebody asked here. It says, Red Dog, it says, does this apply to the closet that would be in an office? Only if it's a closet space, closed closets. If it's a storage closet, then no, it doesn't apply, right? If it is a closed closet, right, then it would be applicable, right? So I don't see anything in this that says that it is only germane to a dwelling unit. So I think the big kicker here is if it is designed for a closed closet. And so we have a definition of closed closet. So if we go to Article 100 and let's see if it says what it says for closed closet. And so gotta keep going here. I'm just not sure whether it's listed backwards as closet. Yeah, there we go. Closed closet right here. All right, what is a closed closet? All right, closed closets is a non-habitable room or space intended primarily for storage of garments and apparel. Okay. And of course, we have other things right here. Definition, determine whether the rules. Then, so as if the definition does not apply, the area may be classified as something other than a closed closet, such as a bedroom or something else. So you have rules that you have to meet, but a closed closet is a non-habitable room, and that can be broad. It doesn't have to be, to me, it doesn't have to be a dwelling unit to do that if it's a closed closet. If it's just a storage closet in other than dwelling application, then it's just a storage closet. Typically, you're not going to have its primary function is for garments. Again, it's all about combustibility and fire and maintaining the space so it doesn't damage any luminaire that's in there, that type of thing. So I don't see personally where this is specifically only beholden to dwellings, okay? But when it is, you may have other applications like in 210.52, and you have other areas, for example, that you have to follow in 210.70 that may be more germane to dwelling units. But again, I don't think that it is, it's just for that. Now, you also have this one, closed closet storage space, which you see is new, okay? And this is an area within a closed closet in which combustible materials can be kept, okay? So you'll see reference to closed closet storage space, and of course we have closed closet. So now we have multiple, and actually this one is new for 2023, okay? What does see? Eric says closed closet, probably like shelves and a clothes hanging bar. Yes. So having something to store the garments, hang the garments, things like that is going to be what pretty much kicks into this. Now, the worst part about some of these things is you do have to deal with an AHJ's interpretation. But again, I distinguish a closed closet different than a storage closet, that type of thing. So I could have a commercial building with just a storage closet. And it wouldn't invoke these rules as a clothes closet. That's its primary function, is for storing clothes and garments. So I'm not sure I see many businesses that have that, but they may have a little clothes closet that enters into wherever the office is. And if that's got a rod and it's designed for hanging clothes and garments and storage of that, then I would consider it a clothes closet. And I'd have to be careful where I put that luminaire. Absolutely, I would have to be. What's up, Charlie? Thanks for joining me. Thanks for being here. What's up, Frank? We're all entitled to wake up late, my friend. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for joining me. Just catching up. Manny, okay. Good morning. Yep, we just looked at that here. Definitions, the storage space. Now, again, one of the big differences here is that this definition of the closed closet storage space is specific because this says the area within a closed closet to which combustible materials can be kept. So that is, you have a closed closet, which we have a definition of, and then you've got spaces within that closed closet that is designed for storage, okay, and put combustible material in, okay? So we're breaking it down. I guess we're having to have subdivisions of what a closet is now. So we've got a closet, then we've got the area within the closet that is for combustible materials or where it can be. So I guess it's all broken down now even more, okay? So we're going to focus just on the luminaires that are installed in there. Let me get back to where I was. Bear with me here. Any other questions? Feel free to put them in there. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll go over the locations really quickly after we look at the space. Let's look at the space real quick. Okay, so this is the closed closet storage space. And now we have a definition of what that is. That is the area where you would be having the combustible material, okay? All right, so let's look in it and see the closed closet storage space, okay, shall be the volume bounded by the sides and back closet walls and planes extending from the closet floor vertically to the height of 6 feet or to the highest closed hanging rod and parallel to the walls at a horizontal distance of 24 inches. Okay, so this space, if you look in this drawing, this is in the NEC as well. So this kind of looks like you have, so you take this room, okay, the closet, and you come parallel with the side walls, you come out 24 inches. This is no man's land, which is typically where the garments would hang anyway on the rods around the closet, right? So that is the actual now defined space as the closed closet storage space. That is defined now. This space we're talking about is where the garments will hang, okay? And so it comes out 24 inches and it wraps all the way around the closet space, parallel to the walls, all the way around, okay? And so that's 24 inches out, all the way around, 24, 24, 24. Now, the height of this space goes from the closet floor, this 24 inches right here, 24 inches, in the back, 24 inches. This comes out, and this goes up 6 feet or to the height of the rod, okay? If this is got for storage space, okay? Now let's read what it says. So it says, again, to the height of 6 feet, okay? So that is your space, okay? Or the height of the closed hanging rod. So if you don't have a rod, it's still going to be 6 feet that it has to come up, okay? Rod installed or not, if this is a closed closet. So you have the closed closet we've defined, and now you have the storage space for that closed closet defined inside of the closed closet, okay? And again, it's parallel to the walls at a horizontal distance of 24 inches. So 24 all the way around, out from the wall. It's making this little, this little area you can't be in, right? And it's specifically for the garments. And the height of that zone goes up 6 feet or the hanging shelves, okay? Whichever, okay? Notice it says or right here, okay? Then it says the volume extends vertically to the closet ceiling parallel to the walls at a horizontal distance of 12 inches or the width of the shelf, whichever is greater. Okay, so we've got this 24 inches out. It goes up 6 feet. And then what happens? It pulls back into 12 inches or the width of the shelf, whichever is greater. So if I don't have a shelf, it's going to be at least 12 inches. And that's going to extend up to the ceiling. All right, so that's what you see right here. So we've got our 24 out, we've got our 6 feet high, and then it comes back down to 12 inches, and that continues on up to the ceiling. Now, could it be greater than 12 inches? Absolutely. It depends on your shelf. And so that's what it says right here. If you don't have a shelf, you still are going to create an imaginary shelf and have that 12 inches, okay? Now it says, for a closet that permits access to both sides of the hanging rod, the closed closet storage space, including the volume below the highest rod, extending 12 inches on either side of the rod, on a plane horizontal to the floor, extending the entire length of the rod. Okay, so if you have access to both sides of the rod, you're still going to have, depending on how your closet is laid out, you're still going to have this extended space. Okay, from the highest rod, 12 inches on either side of the rod. So you're still going to be creating this no-go or this no-zone space that you can't go into. Okay, and of course we have this figure here, as you all see. So this is a general thing to say. This is just your, if we were dealing with your standard closet. Okay, now they do give commentary on this, and I'll read the commentary. I'll see if I can blow this up a little bit so that we can read the commentary. All right, it says, the 24-inch dimension in the closed closet storage space is intended to cover the clothes hanging space. Check, we got that. Even if no clothes hanging rod is installed, if it is a closed closet, originally it's designed for garments and clothing, then that kicks in that it's a closed closet, not just a storage closet, a closed closet. Once you're there, now we're defining what's called the closed closet storage space. That's why we have the two different definitions. One, we have to define the closet, and two, the space within the closet that these rules apply to. All right, so it's that 24 inches that is coming up 6 feet and wrapping around your closet. Okay, it's kind of creating this little zone, if you will. Okay, and it says if such a rod is installed, the space extends from the floor to the top of the highest rod. If no clothes hanger rod is installed, the space extends from the floor to the height of 6 feet. Okay, so to the rod or to the 6 feet. You have no rod, 6 feet. Okay. It says, in addition, the space in which clothes are hung from the closet pole or rod is defined also. This definition also establishes a 12-inch wide shelf space to cover those installations where shelving is not in place at the time of the fixture installation. So that's important. So for us, let's say you're the electrician and you're out there installing this, okay? And you're going to see something sucky here. It is what it is. You're the electrician, and I get it. Electricians, we get crapped on all the time. So I get there. There's no shelving in here. It is a closed closet. It's obviously, we're getting it. It's for a bedroom. It's their closed closet. And they want a luminaire in there. And you and me walk in there, and we're going, okay, where do I put this thing? And your question is, the height, we're good. 24 inches, we get that. We don't have a problem with that. We're like, where's your shelf? And is your shelf, what's the size of your shelf? Well, they don't tell you. We know we get the most crappiest communication sometimes for stuff that we do. Nobody wants to share stuff with us. We don't know what the appliances are. We don't know. We just kind of just saying, okay, well, if I'm doing a load calculation, I got to have this stuff. I get it, So at the end of the day, we're like, okay, well, I'm going to do what? I'm going to measure 24 off. And I'm going to go up 6 feet because there may be no shelving in there. Then I'm going to drop back and I'm going to mark that on the wall. And then I'm going to say, okay, from here up, it's 12 inches off because that is what the code says. There's no shelving there. So that's what I'm going to use. You put your luminaire in there and then all of a sudden they come back and the shelf ends up being different. Okay? And it ends up being wider than 12 or whatever. And you're looking at the builder and you're going, really? Really? that type of thing. But it can happen. Now, that is to give you something at least to install by, right? That type of scenario. All right, now, so if the shelving is installed and the shelves are wider than 12 inches, the grader must be applied to establish this space, okay? The storage, take you back to the code real quick, okay? So if the shelving is installed and the shelves are wider than 12 inches, the grader width must be applied to establish the space where we're gonna put our luminaire, okay? The space that we can't put our luminaire, by the way. Let's see, the storage space for closets that permit access on both sides of the clothes hanging rod is based on a horizontal plane extending 12 inches from both sides of the rod. So this is if you have the clothes hangers, the clothes rods in the middle, and you can get to it from both sides. Establishing the distance from that, it's basically a horizontal plane, 12 inches from both sides of the rod, and then from the rod down to the floor. This equates to 24-inch space required for closet rod where there is only one direction of access, okay? This equates. So basically, this is one rod in the middle. If you have 12 on this side, 12 on this side, if I can get to the rod from this side and this side of it, then that basically creates the 24 inches for the garments to hang in, right? That type of scenario, okay? So that's the whole purpose of that, okay? And so again, that's if you have a situation where you're going to be accessing the clothes from both sides, okay? And I wish they had an illustration for that, but they do not. But you get the deal. If I'm looking right down the closet from the side, and there's a rod running right down the middle, and I have access from this side to that rod, and I have access from this side of that rod. So my measurement to create where my zone is in the ceiling that I don't put a luminaire, then I go 12 inches out from the rod, 12 inches out from the rod, and that effectively creates the 24 inches, right, that we have. Okay, 12 and 12, then that creates that area, okay? All right, let's see here. All right, so let's see here. And that, again, that basically that creates the same as you did right here on the side, giving you that 24 inches. That's all it's really doing. All right, so again, let's look and see the locations now in that space. So we define the space. We know what it is. We've gone into our clothes closet. We've looked at it, and go to your clothes closet and look and see if you're compliant or not. Might say, what? Remembering, again, luminaires are not required to be in clothes closet, but if they are, you got to follow these rules. So now that we define 24 inches out, 6 feet up or to the rod, and then from there, 12 inches up to the ceiling, except if the shelf was wider than 12 inches, then we use the wider. But okay, we'll just go with nothing there, so we'll go with 12 inches. Okay, so we know our space now, and our space looks like this right here. Okay, this is our space. Okay, all right, so we're okay in this space. All right, so let's see what it says. Okay, the minimum clearance between luminaire installed in closed closets, okay, again, it's not being installed in the space, the closed closet storage space, it's being installed in the closed closet. We've already defined out the space. Now we're in the closed closet. We're worried about the area that we're allowed to put something in. It says, all right, so the minimum clearance between luminaire installed in a closed closet and the nearest point of a closed closet storage space, you know what? You could say this, we could say crap all we want about code panels and the way people submit stuff. This is great. This makes it so much easier for people because once I define the space that's the closed closet storage space, now I'm just dealing with the space in the closed closet, and now I'm measuring to the closed closet storage space. Brilliant, right? And it's subtle, but it makes sense. And over time, this is why we do have code changes, because things get clarified even more. So I like it. All right, so now we know what how we're measuring. We're measuring the clearance from the nearest point of the closed closet storage space, okay? So that is the clearance between the luminaire and the nearest point of the closed closet storage space. That's what we're measuring. So if I had to look at the illustration right here. So we're measuring 12 inches out. I'm measuring from this space. I'm measuring from this space. I'm measuring from this space out. Okay? Because this is the closed closet storage space. Makes sense? All right, let's look at the different options. All right, number one, 12 inches for surface-mounted incandescent or LED luminaires with a completely enclosed light source installed on the wall above the door or on the ceiling. Okay, so if this is the entryway right here, this is the entry and this is the door, okay, then it's basically telling me that I can install, it has to be 12 inches away. Okay, if it's a surface-mounted incandescent or an LED luminaire, that they have a completely enclosed light source, the lamps or the LED power source is all, or the little LED light itself, all of that is installed in the luminaire system, and it is installed on the wall, above the door, or on the ceiling. Okay, so 12 inches. All right, so we can install it up here, measure from the door. Okay, anywhere in this space, but we have to be 12 inches from any of this storage space. Okay, so not a problem here. If this is for if we're installing on the wall above the door or on the ceiling. So we're installing it on the wall above the door. We just have to make sure we're 12 inches away from this side. Make sure we're 12 inches away from this side. Okay, we're going to obviously be 12 inches away from this side because we're mounting it on the wall above. Now, if we put it in the ceiling up here, then we just have to make sure we're 12 inches away from this storage space. Slap that bad boy right in the middle, good to go. All right, next. 6 inches, again, this is for the surface-mounted incandescent or the LED luminaires that contain a completely enclosed light source, okay? So this is above the door and on the ceiling for this type of luminaires. Now, this type of luminaire, this is a surface-mounted fluorescent luminaire installed on the wall above the door or on the ceiling, 6 inches. All right, so this one was typically maybe come in a strip. We have to make sure that it is 6 inches away from this storage space, 6 inches away from this storage space on the sides, and obviously it's going to be at least 6 inches away from this side here. So anywhere on the wall here above the door or on the ceiling, as long as it's 6 inches away from those type of, and that's the one that we saw with the lamps, okay, that weren't enclosed, just the fluorescent lamps, all right? Next, 6 inches for recessed incandescent, okay? This was for surface mount. This was for recessed incandescent or LED luminaires with a completely enclosed light source installed on the wall and ceiling. So we can go down to 6 inches if it's a recessed incandescent or a recessed LED luminaire, as long as it has a completely enclosed light source, okay? So we can have LED luminaires or recessed incandescents as long as the complete light source is enclosed. All right, so that is 6 inches. So I can have a recess in here, and its clearance for the recessed is going to be 6 inches. I can have the LEDs mounted in here, okay? I can have the LED luminaires mounted in here, and they only have a 6-inch requirement for clearance. They don't put off as much heat, okay? And if they're a completely enclosed source, we don't have to worry about it busting out, or with LEDs, you don't have to worry about them causing a fire from breaking and have, like an incandescent, you've got the exposed filament, all this type of stuff. You don't have that with these LEDs, okay? All right, and also the last one here is 6 inches for recessed fluorescent luminaires installed on the wall or the ceiling. So if you're going to put recessed fluorescent luminaires, I don't know that I see those anymore, but if you do, then they can be anywhere in this space. They just have to be 6 inches from the closed closet storage space. So you're just going to situate it in there so that you're at least that distance away. So depending on the type that you're using. Now here's the exception. It says surface-mounted fluorescent or LED luminaires shall be permitted to be installed within the closet space, the closet storage space, were identified for this use, okay? So if you have a surface-mounted fluorescent or you have an LED, then they're permitted to be in that actual closet space, whether it's the 24 inches, whether it's the 12 inches above, But the difference to this is they have to be what? They have to be identified for this use. Means that they're marked for use inside of a closet space. So you buy a luminaire is listed, but it may not necessarily have any markings on it that says that it can be in the actual closed closet storage space. Now, if the manufacturer intended, like the one I saw with the bar that is designed for the weight and everything, and it had luminaire on it, it actually had printed on it for use in closed closets. Okay, and at the time, I don't think it actually said closed closet storage space because we didn't have that new definition. But in the literature, it talked about it could be in the areas prohibited by 410.16. So that was what was in the literature. It seems now that we've evolved into the exception and says, well, you know what? If it's a surface mounted fluorescent or it's an LED luminaire, then it's permitted to be installed in the closed closet, the actual space itself. And we have some commentary. Let's see what they say in the commentary. It says, these requirements are intended to prevent hot lamps or parts of broken lamps from coming in contact with combustibles such as boxes, cartons, and blankets stored on the shelves and within the clothing hung in the closet. Makes sense to me. The clearance measurements for each requirement in 410.16d is to the luminaire, not to the lamp itself. So it's to the luminaire. So luminaire is made up of a lamp, the supporting structure, the housing, okay? So it's not to the lamp, it's to the actual luminaire measurement, okay? So if you have the fluorescents and you have the strip, you have the tubes, it's not to the tubes, for example, it would be to the actual luminaire, which makes up not only the light source, the lamps, and the housing, it's everything in the luminaire, okay? Now, it says, a luminaire in a closed closet is not mandatory. We talked about that. It's not a requirement, okay? But if one is installed, they have to meet the conditions in 410.16d, right? So important to realize that, again, not a requirement to have it, right? But if you do, then, you know, perfectly okay to do it if it is identified for that use inside of that space. So again, quickly, 12 inches for surface mounted incandescents or LED luminaires, but they have to have a completely enclosed light source. So yes, I can have surface mounted. I could have incandescents in there, but they have to be totally enclosed. Makes sense. All right. 6-inch clearance for surface mounted fluorescent luminaires. Obviously, yep, that'd be like the tube style, whatever. I'd also say that you don't see CFL in here, but CFLs are going to fall under the fluorescent luminaire, and if they're mounted on the surface, then I would say they fall under the surface mounted fluorescent luminaire. Okay, that's what I would say they fall under. All right. Now, recessed incandescent. So yes, you can have a recessed incandescent or an LED luminaire. Again, completely enclosed light source. Don't want to have any problem there. And then, of course, usually they'll have a little cover on it. And then, of course, you have recessed luminaires installed in the wall or the ceiling. Just a recessed fluorescent luminaire, 6 inches of clearance is all you need. So you have the reduction of clearance. Okay. So that pretty much covers most of the application, or pretty much all the application of luminaires in a closed closet. We showed you how to define the 24 inches, goes up 6 feet or to the highest rod. Then if you have shelving, it's the width of the shelving up to the ceiling. If you don't have the shelving there, then you use 12 inches. That creates this area, which is in the closed closet. It is defined differently than the space that we are creating around it, which is the closed closet storage space, now defined in the 2023. But before the 2023, I think we all knew that's what we were creating. And we knew what couldn't go in there, right? So again, this is just more of a clarification. And a lot of times with code, that's what happens, is that as it goes on, people submit code proposals that say, well, you know, I'm not necessarily making a massive change. What I'm doing is just bringing some additional clarity to the actual code rule. And that's still a change, but it may not be significant change to the actual code language itself. It just made me trying to clear things up and make something, just a little bit easier to understand. Okay. So has anybody got any questions on any of that? I'm more than happy to answer any of that. Any questions you may have on that. Oh, I should point out real quickly the or in this one, because some people ask about the ors. I'll point out like this. See here, it says or. So if it says you can have a surface mounted or a recessed incandescent or an LED luminaire with completely enclosed sources. So I can have a surface mounted or a recessed incandescent, or I can have an LED, all of these. I can have a choice of any of these, okay, as long as it is completely enclosed light source, okay? There's a lot of people that read these rules and they go, it says surface mounted, it says recessed incandescent, and then it says, or then it says this part only applies to the LED. In other words, only the LED has a completely enclosed light source. No, it's not how this rule works here, okay? It is, you could choose this one, you could choose this one, you could choose this one, and they all have to have a completely enclosed light source, okay? Just wanted to make a clarity because some people ask those type of questions, okay? In other words, you could not have a surface mounted or recessed incandescent in there and just have it have an open lamp. Because we already saw the rule that says you can't have what? Open or partially enclosed lamps. So it would have to be totally enclosed. So that only makes sense, obviously, if you're dealing with incandescent. So kind of got to look at the not permitted. And then, well, I'm going to let you put a luminaire in there that has an incandescent. Okay? I'm going to let you do that. But it has to be what? Completely enclosed. All right? Okay. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. If you don't have any additional things. Now, tomorrow, let me tell you about tomorrow. Tomorrow it's be Fridays. Fridays, I'm going to be answering 2 Let's Ask Paul questions that came in that are pretty extensive. So we're going to be doing that. And then after that's over, if I have any extra time, we will do some Q&A questions from our question database. So again, we'll try to, we may not have time for that if we answer these questions that are submitted for Let's Ask Paul. But if I knock those out of the way, then we will do some Q&A. And I'll let you look at some questions and let you come up with some of the answers. And we'll have some interaction on that. All right, sounds good? All right, folks. Well, we didn't make a total hour today unless you have any additional things that you want to say. Also, Manny's asking about what day is your webinar. Oh, by the way, if you haven't signed up for the webinar, make sure you do. It's free. It is Saturday at 10 a.m. And it is on Raceway Fill. Everything you want to know about Raceway Fill. Talking about how to use the tables, how to do the calculations, how to use the notes, chapter 9, chapter 9, table 1 in the notes. We'll talk about putting cables in a raceway, how you would do the fill on that, when you need to worry about it, when you don't. So that's the webinar for this Saturday. You go to our website to get to that. Right. So if you wanted to see how to do that, it's free, but you got to register on our website. I will more than happy to share that with you. Just so you can see for those that are interested. So this is our website, okay? And let me get rid of Nanny's question here. Hold on here. All right, so this is the website here, and up at the top you'll see where it says webinar, right here. Click on webinar, and in webinar you'll see right here at 11 a.m. till noon. But in order to do it, you got to click right here. And you got to buy a ticket. The tickets are free. It's not going to cost you anything, but you have to be registered to do it. So if I click, try to register, you can't. You have to click log in and you have to create an account. If you don't want to create an account, then you don't want to attend the webinar. Okay, pretty simple. If you're like, well, I'm not creating an account on Paul's website. I don't want to waste my time. Probably shouldn't be watching my videos, to be honest with you. I'm just saying. But if you do want to join me, there you go. It's over on fasttracksystem.com. Click the webinars link. Click on the title, how do Raceway Fill calculations like a pro, and then make sure you're logged in. It'll prompt you to log in, and you log in, and you can register there. And it will send you an email to the link that you will come to when we do the webinar. Okay? All right? All right, folks. And if it does not send you that link, then I don't know what to tell you. It's supposed to be set up already to send you the link. So, but we'll, I guess I'll address that on the day, okay, or ahead of it. Everybody that's registered will send out an email. If I can, I'll send out an email with the link if it doesn't come to you automatically emailed. Make sense? All right, it should already be in there when you register anyway. Okay, Jeff did this for me. So anyway, hopefully we'll catch you Saturday for that. But again, I'll remind you again tomorrow about the webinar, and I will make sure that the link and everything is good regardless. So, all right, folks, that's all I've got. Take care. Appreciate all of you. And hopefully you got something out of the day's episode. Till next time, folks, stay safe. God bless. Make it a great Thursday and get pumped. Tomorrow is Friday. Take care.